Twisted Christian, coming to you guys really quick. Going to try to make this video as quickly as possible because there is a lot going on, and I just want to be prepared to take advantage of Zion Oil and Gas and take advantage of the news when it comes out, and still trying to get my hands on as much Zion Oil as possible as we go into this week. Some of the things we're going to talk about, I'm going to give you an order of things that are supposed to happen, and give you an order of news that could be released. And we're going to talk about some of the things that happened when Zion Oil did release some news several weeks ago when the price went up from 19 cents to 88 cents. Okay, and so the first thing is that the ship, just to kind of give you guys an update on what's going on with the ship. Um, we're getting closer, but it looks like they have pushed back the arrival date by 8 hours. Now, this might not be completely accurate. As far as that, this is not a paid service. This is just a service that's offered, and I think if you pay for it, you can get up to date information. But we don't need to do that. All right, so we have an estimated arrival date of 8 o'clock on Monday, 8 p.m. on Monday. So, folks, we may not see any type of announcement about Zion Oil, the ship arriving. Now, it could already be there for all we know. Maybe because of security concerns, they may have, messed with the times that they're supposed to be there. That quite possibly that it could already be there. So that's where, according to this information we have here, on marinetraffic.com, the name of the ship is Fox, and it's going to arrive Monday evening. All right, so which means it's going to be about 1 o'clock Eastern time when it arrives. I'm not sure if Zion Oil will even make an announcement that the rig has been delivered, or how they're going to do it, or they're going to wait till they've actually moved everything to the site, got everything off the boat and to the site before they do make that announcement. So, but that's one of the announcements that that I do look for. All right, and one of the next things I do want to bring up, because one of my Patreon subscribers, Stacy, brought this to my attention, and this deals with the institutional holdings of Zion Oil. And so once you look up that information, you look at the companies that have filed, and one of the things that I want to look up was Vanguard, and that was pointed out to me. In Vanguard Group Inc. reports a 296% increase in ownership of Zion Oil. That was on August the 14th, right? So where are we at now, right? So we're on August the 16th. So they went and bought millions of shares. So they have a total of 6,875,211 shares. So that's pretty big. If you don't know who Vanguard Group Inc. is, they invest in a lot of different companies, and they're not going to invest millions of dollars into this company without considering how close we are to a possible delisting or reverse split, which is not going to happen. But I don't think they would put in so much. All right, so that's just something to consider. If you still haven't decided to invest yet, that's your call. I'm just somebody who's just I see what I see, and I'm reporting what I see, and I also report what other people see. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and get into really quick what I think what is going to happen. Now, remember, I listened to the podcast, and I listened to estimates of time frames of building the rig, and testing the rig, and testing the oil. All right, and from the time that they start construction on the rig until the time that they drill for oil and have the test results of that oil was a total of 21 days. All right, so one of the first things that we are looking for right now, right, news, whether they announce it or not in the next coming day or two, is the arrival of the rig and the crew. Now, when I listened to the podcast, they said they want the crew to arrive, they want the crew to be ready and outside of their quarantine by the time the rig arrives. All right, so I would imagine that either today or tomorrow, if they were able to coordinate it right, the crew will be ready by the time that the rig shows up. All right, so those are two pieces of information that I am looking for. And then the next piece of news that we'll be looking for is like drill construction at the site, drill completion, testing the drill. The end part of that is also drilling for oil and then testing the oil. All right, so that's the main. Those are the main things that we are looking for. And at the end of all that, we're looking for an announcement of finding. Because right now they're cutting it pretty close, right? And you got to remember it has to be over $1 for 10 days. And this news here, right? I believe the arrival of the crew and the rig will have an impact. But we got to look at what happened with the permit news, right? With the permit news, Israel granting the permits. Remember, it was sitting at about 19 cents. And then it jumped to a high of 88 cents, which was a difference of a 69-cent increase, right? Then after that, the stock began to fall, and it fell down to about 36 cents. And that's a fall of about 52-cent drop. An overall increase just on that news was 18 cents. Now, the arrival of the crew and the arrival of the rig, I think that's going to be like a low impact, maybe something similar to the permit news. And then is if they make updates as far as the drill construction, if the drill's completed, we're testing the drill, we're drilling for oil, and then eventually the announcement of their findings. Now, but in order to do that, like I said, it was 21 days. So even if within 21 days from now, they would not have, if we had to wait until they actually announced that they had oil, it would only be a few days before the delisting would take place. So, but keep in mind, even if they do announce these different things and how it could raise the price to over $1, I'm not sure if the arrival of the rig that it will push it from 40 cents to over $1 because the permit news, yeah, it's a pretty big deal, but it had a short-term effect and it only raised it up by 18 cents. So the arrival of the crew in the rig, we could see some bounces that could actually happen over $1 because it is pretty big news. But then it will retract. And most stocks do this. When news comes out, it goes up for a day, maybe have a two day run. That's possible, but eventually it will come back down. Yeah. So the biggest news from all of this is going to be the announcements of their oil findings, right? But I think we're actually going to get some of that beforehand, and I'll explain. Because I don't think that's really, I think the biggest news that Zion Oil can release right now, and that is the 3D mapping data that Zion Oil did in Israel, because it was actually it's the largest ever done in Israel, right? And it's going to show a lot more depth and in details as far as what is going on under the ground there, where Zion Oil plans on drilling, right? And I think that if you look at Israel, their reserves and where they are in the oil markets, I don't know how big this finding could be, right? I've heard estimates based off of old information, but now that we have new information, I mean, they're talking a lot of barrels of oil that could be underneath, right? So, but I don't think officially we've gotten that data. And I think when they actually release that data, that's going to determine whether or not, if it's going to go, that information alone, in my opinion, and it's just my opinion, that actually could push up the stock $2 or $3, because that information could be very valuable. It could be a game changer for Israel, if you guys understand. I've discussed Israel becoming an exporter of oil in that region, and we've discussed some of the other reasons why in the past. But this is going to be big, and they're going to be a lot more self-sustaining too as well. That's what I think that's going to push it, and it's going to push it for obviously it would push it more than 10 days, right? You coordinate that information with the information they release with the arrival of the crew, the rig, and the construction. There's no telling what could happen, because you could have not only that, you got to think about this. There could be any other related news that we haven't discussed here. Say, for instance, they find so much oil that that the Israeli government decides to give them grants, things like that, or some type of government funding, right? So when that does happen to a stock, that stock explodes too as well. So there's many different things that can make this really skyrocket. And figuring out how high it's going to go, when to sell, and then when to buy back in. I think with this stock, it's going to be a little tricky because the amount of news that could actually come out over the next 3 weeks. So even with the 3D seismic survey that they did in Israel, when that's released, if I think that's going to push up to $2 or $3, and then you have all this other news coming out. I think it could hold steady. Some people say it could actually go up to $5 a share. But folks, this is just the very short term because a lot of people don't understand. Once they announce they find oil, however they're going to, are they going to build pipelines? Right? How are they going to transport the oil? How are they going to get it to a refinery? Those are a lot of the questions that I haven't seen yet. Maybe I just haven't found it. But if they do, all those announcements will come after that, right? And then Zion Oil will start pumping, and who knows how long that's actually going to take. So there could be a time period there could be 6 months from the time that they start drilling for oil and then before they actually start building before the pipelines and however they do it is completed, there might be a long gap. So you want to make sure that when this stock does go up, that you take advantage of some of your stocks. 'Cause I know that not everybody is going to sell off their stocks. People have told me, it doesn't matter. That they're just going to hold on to it till they're over $100. Well, by that point, I know that they plan on paying dividends and other things, so that's why you would stay in it for the long term, and that's why most of my stocks are going to be in it for the long term. But I really, really I think this information here with the onshore 3D seismic survey, it's going to put Israel on a different platform, and I think that's where the big news is really at. All these other things, the arrival of the crew and the rig, it's going to have an impact on the stock. I think it's going to be a lower impact. The drill construction at the site, it's going to be a smaller impact, but it's going to be bigger than the arrival, right? Then they start, and I just don't know how they're going to release their news or how, what rules guide them in releasing certain information because they don't want to seem like they're pumping up their stock. So I don't know what the laws are concerning how they can release news, when they can release news. So we have a total of 21 days from the time that the drill's being constructed all the way to the announcements of their finding after the drill has been completed and they've tested the drill. That's 21 days. So I'm really excited about everything. I think tomorrow what we'll bring, I think because if there's no announcement, because according to this information, the ship is still out in the sea. So I'm not really expecting an announcement, but I will be up early in the morning just to see what the price is and see how things are selling off or if the price has gone up. Now, if you're trying to get in, now is the time to put in your order for it is around 41 cents, between 40 and 41 cents, depending on which site is telling you as far as what the closing price was on Friday. But the only way to figure out what the pre-market value is to actually be up at 3 a.m. Central Time and look at to see what it's trading at. So, and the way to do that is on Webull, when you go in there, you say around 2:55 a.m. you hit trade, and you can normally about 5 minutes beforehand you can kind of see what's going on with that stock. But you need to put in those orders now if you're trying to get in at this rate. I think we have been giving, it seems like it's possible that we've been giving at least one more day before an announcement of the arrival of the rig. So please do take advantage if you haven't. I know I'm trying to figure out how I can get a few more. So now, folks, now you got to figure out what your trading strategy is because the stock is going to go up and it's going to go down, and then it's going to go back up. So many of you may not have a lot of stocks to play with, and some of you are waiting just until it hits, which is fine. But you need to try to take advantage and learn how to trade. If you have 400 stocks, and you see the stock price going up, and you say, okay, it looks like it's about to hit $5, and it's almost the end of the trading day. Well, let me go ahead and sell 100, and then when it goes back down, then you're able to buy back at a lower rate and be able to even purchase more stocks. And so whatever you guys do, don't go in and start buying at $3 and $4 and $5, right? You guys, everybody that's hearing my voice, they've had their chance and opportunity to get it when it was cheap. Okay, you guys start getting it at $3 and $5, and that stock goes down. You might have to wait a little time before the stock goes back up. Like I said, this whole thing is going to be tricky, and I'm just basing part of this based off the permit news and how much it went up and how much it went down and how much we can see that. And I think over the next 3 weeks, it could just be like one piece of news after the other after the other. Like I said, the 3D mapping data, they could get government funding. You have no idea what could happen within those 3 weeks that's going to make this stock skyrocket. So hopefully, guys, you understand what I've been saying and the order of events that are supposed to take place, and then also the news that could correlate with that. So I appreciate you all listening. All the support links are down below in the description. And with that being said, Twisted Christian out.